What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have a very special video for you today as we are going over the top 10 IGN fighting games, I'm assuming of all time. Now, I'm not necessarily sure how you feel about IGN. The only thing I can remember about IGN was you can't spell ignorant without IGN. So yeah, probably not the best credibility as a gaming journalist website, but I really want to see if they have their pulse on the fighting game community and what are their top 10 fighting games. Now, if IGN is going to play it safe here, which I think they're going to do, the top 2 games are going to be number 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, number 2, Street Fighter Third Strike. I think those are the two kind of like no-brainer, sort of just like, you know, they're the holy grails. They're just great games. They could go the cheap route and say Street Fighter 2, but I don't think they're going to go there. Well, let's waste no more time. Let's just go see.
Present of gaming. It's a genre that requires quick thinking, twitch reflexes, and vast amounts of knowledge of both yourself and your opponent's options to play at a high level. It can often seem intimidating, but some of the most recognizable series in pop culture, such as Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, belong to that same genre. So for our deliberations in assembling this list, we've laid out some special criteria. We've excluded platform fighters such as the Smash Brothers series, as that's important enough to be a list on its own. We only have one game representing.
Okay, already an interesting point that they just completely got rid of platform fighters, which, you know what, I think that's fair. I do think that platform fighters are fighting games. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, Smash isn't a fighting game. However, yeah, they're so vastly different. I agree with IGN sentiment here. Having it on a separate list makes sense, and obviously it's going to be Smash Ultimate that wins anyways, so.
Each series, and while legacy can play a big part, they must offer robust mechanics and still be fun to play today. Here's our list of the top 10 fighting games.
Okay, let's go. I'm excited. For an IGN video?
He must win.
No. Okay.
Mortal Kombat 9 marked a
They care. They care. Immediately they care. Okay, let's just continue with the video.
fighting series back from the brink, thanks to its excellent story mode, copious amounts of fan service, and redone mechanics that laid the foundation for subsequent games to follow.
I think that's really important to know, is just how I guess like the state of Mortal Kombat at that point. The last Mortal Kombats were, you know, obviously not that well received. This game in particular was like also NRS forming for the first time, right? They had to do this right. They had to get this game right. This game couldn't fail, because if it did, then MK would be in a absolutely terrible spot. But obviously the opposite happened. And me personally, I love this game, man. I have so many memories staying up till like 3 a.m. trying to get all the way up to the towers. I think it was like 300 levels or something like that, just to get some Melina costume or something like that. But I mean, just fantastic memories. Damn, IGN might actually care about fighting games. I'm excited.
It was not the most balanced fighting game in the world, but that was part of its charm. And its imperfections are actually one of the reasons why many fans still prefer MK9 over 10 and 11 to this day.
Yeah, that's actually very true.
You are not ready for what you
No shot. What?
Even
Wasn't expecting Skullgirls on this list. Regardless, very happy. Happy to see they have their pulse on the community at least a little bit, you know? This is probably the most popular of like the indie fighting games.
Add in memorable character design, art style, and music on top of silky smooth gameplay and net play, and it's no wonder Skullgirls still thrives 10 years later.
You know, it's very true. When I think about it, Skullgirls in particular, I have very limited amount of times with, but I do talk with people that love the game so much. And I think the number one thing is definitely that player expression. When I ever boot up Skullgirls, I get like paralysis just staring at the character select screen, because there's so much going on there, and being able to choose like the single, the double, and then the triple with all the assists and stuff like that. I think that's a fantastic way to sort of just like approach a fighting game. Shout out to Skullgirls.
Pro Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown is a must-play for fans of 3D fighters and the genre as a whole.
Better run home to mom.
Solid. You know, have zero experience of Virtua Fighter, so that's on me. You got me, guys. I'm red-handed, but genuinely speaking, sounds like a solid title. I might check it out in the future.
Mama now.
Come on, guys. Guys.
The best teaching tool the genre has ever seen. It doesn't just teach
One of
you
the
how to play
best.
Killer Instinct, it teaches you how to play fighting games, full stop, and is required reading for anyone trying to learn the genre. What's more, Killer Instinct is packed with great single-player content, and no matter how you play it, it looks great and has a killer soundtrack by Mick Gordon.
Absolutely, it does. You know the thing about like Killer Instinct, I say this constantly when I'm talking to someone about Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct is the most video game ever. What I mean by that is that you just have like a kid's imagination just going wild. You have velociraptors and ninjas and robots, cyborgs, stuff like ice creatures just fighting it out and like just blasting music and ultra combos, and it's just so hype. It's just fantastic. Go play Killer Instinct. It's okay if you close this video to go play Killer Instinct. Nothing else, okay?
Now, if only Microsoft would release a sequel.
That would be nice. Microsoft, please, just make it happen. But I think this is the first time I disagree with this list. I think Killer Instinct needs to be at least number 5. Number 7? Number 7? I don't know. Well, we'll see. Completely disagree. Completely disagree with this. I'm sorry. I just... UMVC 3 is so impactful. I understand its impact. But over Killer Instinct? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below.
It's brutal and unforgiving, but that feeling of being all-powerful is worth it. It's fast, flashy, and the combo system is ridiculous. It will garner your attention and take you for a ride.
Not bad, not bad. King of Fighters.
The King of Fighters
okay.
series has a number of great entries, with many choosing 98 and 2002 as their favorites,
Those are,
and
yeah.
15 receiving a lot of love as the newest entry. However, for our money, it's KOF 13 that remains one of the best fighting games of all time. The super detailed pixel art, pace of play, and hyperdrive...
You know, out of all the KOFs, this isn't a terrible, like, contrarian pick. I think this is, like, genuinely, like, a decent game from what I've played. You know, I've only played Fightcade, so I can't really... attest to maybe some of the more greater things about this game.
Team-based combat and beautiful animation keep this particular king on the throne.
Beautiful game. Yeah. Number 4. Is it number 4? I think it has to be. You know, when you look at the fighting game, like, I guess, like, timeline, when it comes to the community, a lot of people say that 09 because of, you know, Street Fighter and UMVC 3. I feel as if Dragon Ball FighterZ is sort of like the 18ers. I think it genuinely made a resurgence in fighting games. Dragon Ball FighterZ specifically brought in so many people that had probably never even touched a fighting game. And, you know, as a result, I think the scene has actually grown immensely because of this game. So number 4, I'm okay with this pick only because of how, like, actually, I guess, genre-defining this game can be.
Not only is Dragon Ball FighterZ finally a good Dragon Ball game, but it's an amazing fighting game in its own way.
Okay, this dude's definitely played fighters if he's like, it's finally a good Dragon Ball game.
Most fun to play fighting games in recent memory, with competitive legs that still endure to this day. And with the recent announcement of rollback netcode, Dragon Ball FighterZ has a very bright future ahead of it.
You know, this is actually a really interesting point. I wonder what rollback is going to do to that game. I don't know if it's... I hope there's a resurgence. I hope there's like sort of a rise in players and player count in general. But now that they said that the game is completely done, is it going to be played as often? Especially in an era with, you know, sort of this patch culture and stuff like that. Are people going to be, I guess, not complacent, but are they going to be satisfied with a game that is not going to get patched anymore? Me personally, I like that. I like the fact that it's like, hey, I think we achieved our vision here. Good luck. And with the rollback netcode included, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to stop whining and complaining about patching constantly and just accept the game for what it is, you know? And I think that's what we need to start doing as a community a lot more. Tekken 7.
Tekken has always been known as one of the most difficult...
This is number 3. I'm not sure about this one.
The characters individually are just as complex as they were, if not more. Rage arts and rage drives are exciting comeback mechanics but will never beat out solid play. And while the slow-mo finishers don't change much of anything to the gameplay, they have created some of the hypest moments in tournament.
That is very true. I love it when a slow-mo happens in a Tekken match. But yeah, overall, I mean, Tekken 7, it's been going on for a while. I think like 7 years at this point, if I'm not mistaken. But Tekken 7 is definitely, I would say, like a good Tekken game. I think the netcode is pretty garbage. There's been a lot of complaints. I've seen a lot of complaints, but then again, you know, Twitter monsters are going to complain. So, therefore, I'm just excited for Tekken 8. There was an announcement at EVO, get ready, basically, and I just want to see. Well, I want to learn a Tekken game with everyone else when it releases. I think that was the number one thing. I feel like the ship has sailed when it comes to Tekken. So it's hard for me to like comment on this game because I feel as I just have an admiration for this game. I just love watching this game, and like you could definitely tell when you put the time into it, like you get good. Like you could definitely tell someone that's completely new to someone that is, you know, has 1,000 hours in the game, even with comeback mechanics like, you know, the rage arts.
Tekken 7 hits the balance of attracting a new audience without alienating hardcore fans perfectly.
Are you serious? No fucking way. No fucking way is this game top 2. Is this an all-time list or is this like recent? They had like KOF 13 in there. This has to be a modern game list. This has to be. This has to be. Was there a game in the 90s in this list at all? I'm not particularly sure. It might be in the 2000s and you know, past that. First of all, this game's not finished. So for you to even have it on this list is just like wild to me. Second of all, it definitely doesn't deserve number 2. I'm upset. Let's watch the reason why.
The Guilty Gear series has been pumping out excellent fighting games for more than 2 decades, but Guilty Gear Strive is where Arc System Works' flagship title finally found mainstream success, and for good reason. Strive sports the best rollback netcode in the business, something that was largely unheard of in a mainstream fighter even a few years ago, but good netcode alone does not a great fighter make. Strive also refined the series' notoriously technical gameplay, making it easy to pick up and understand without losing the depth or the diversity of Guilty Gear's gonzo cast.
That part's debatable.
Add in Roman cancels, which lets you cancel any action into another action, and Strive has an almost limitless level of player freedom and expression.
I would argue that that is actually quite the opposite. The fact that you need meter to express yourself is inherently restrictive. But hey, go off.
Combine all that with an excellent story mode, detailed teaching tools, tons of concept art and customization options to unlock, a rockin' soundtrack spanning nearly every game in the franchise, and some of the most impressive visuals in the genre, and it's easy to see why Strive has taken the fighting game community by storm.
That it definitely has, though. I do understand why Strive has such a mainstream success outside of them just actually having a marketing budget for this game. However, a number 2 spot on a list like this has me very confused because Strive isn't necessarily finished. And in its state right now, does it really deserve a number 2 spot? Let me know what you guys think. This game definitely deserves a top 3 spot. I love this game, and I play it casually. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but it's so much fun. So much style. I have to review this game. I'm going to review this game at some point. But you go from Strive to Third Strike? You don't even mention Marvel vs. Capcom 2? I'm confused. I'm very confused. IGN has literally just flashbanged me. Alright, let's just see why.
Already renowned for it, while keeping it fairly easy to pick up and play for newcomers. Third Strike showed us what was possible.
That, especially with the Evo Moment 37, that parry is just... The parry is just one of those mechanics that, like, it will always be associated with Third Strike. You have such an important moment, not in just fighting game history, but in, like, I guess esports history with the, you know, the Daigo parry. Yeah, absolutely. You can't flowchart like in other Street Fighters. You gotta get in there and try not to be too predictable.
bringing the genre's most important series up to speed with its contemporaries while simultaneously elevating it to new heights. More importantly, all of it holds up today, something most games from 1999 can't say, and recent re-releases even support rollback netcode. Street Fighter III Third Strike is, quite simply, the greatest fighting game ever made.
Oh, what? That is a bombshell. That it is the best fighting game ever made. All right, man. I mean, I like this game. You know, I respect it because making a list like this, you need to say something like that to get clicks. I understand. You know what? Overall, the list itself really is just inoffensive. I don't think it's anything too crazy. I'm sure there's definitely gonna be some people that are like, what do you mean they only put UMVC at, like, you know, 6 or Killer Instinct at 7? I think there definitely needs to be some shifts here, but you know, I'm not gonna lose sleep over this list. This isn't some cap list, you know, outside of number 2, but I just think there are a lot of I don't know, there's just a lot of good games that obviously got left out because this is a top 10, but first, it gave off the vibe of, it's like, hey, this is like a modern list. These are like the 2000s. Like, these are the best games in the 2000s. And then they literally just throw at you. They just throw Third Strike at you at the end. And it's just supposed... It feels pandering almost. It's like, hey guys, we're cool. We know fighting games, right? Like, Third Strike is great, which it is. I mean, don't get it wrong. There's a reason why it's a safe pick. But if you're having Third Strike in a list of games that are predominantly in the 2000s, it just comes off as like a little cheap. That's just me personally. Like I said, you know, not too bad. I ain't losing sleep over this. Now this is the part where I ask you, is the list cap or is it, you know, passable? Let me know down in the comments below. And until next time, take care.